Prophet Muhammad stood as the unifying center and final authority for the early Muslim community, guiding a rapidly expanding society through its formative years. But as his life neared its end, an immediate crisis loomed. There was no explicit, written political decree naming his successor. The stakes were existential. In the harsh environment of 7th century Arabia, a sudden power vacuum in a young society carried the very real threat of immediate collapse. Yet he did not leave his followers unprepared. Instead of dictating a formal political document, the prophet left a trail of behavioral and spoken signs pointing towards a single man. In the absence of a written decree, the survival of the early Islamic State rested on the community's collective ability to recognize and act upon these specific signals. The earliest markers of his status began with intense personal intimacy. During the perilous migration from Mecca, the prophet selected only one man to accompany him into hiding. The Quran eternalizes this specific moment in chapter 9, verse 40, identifying Abu Bakr as the companion of the cave. During Islam's most vulnerable hour, isolated in the desert, he was the only one there. This historical record aligns with the prophet's own testimony. When asked who was the most beloved to him among all men, he named Abu Bakr. He later elevated this bond by invoking the concept of a Khalil. In Islamic tradition, a Khalil is the highest tier of intimate friendship, a status previously reserved by Allah for the prophets Ibrahim and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. By stating that Abu Bakr was the only man he would ever take as a Khalil, the prophet affirmed a spiritual bond that was entirely unique. Among all the companions, Abu Bakr alone held this specific level of intimacy. As the community settled in Medina, the signs moved from personal affection to practical, administrative signals within the city. A striking architectural command showed this. The prophet ordered the community to seal all private doors opening into the mosque's courtyard. He made one exception. Only Abu Bakr's door remained open, granting him exclusive, unhindered access to the center. This practical reliance extended to future problem-solving. A woman once approached the prophet for counsel and asked what she should do if she returned later and could not find him. His response was unhesitating: "If you do not find me, then go to Abu Bakr." Granting exclusive physical access to the mosque and directing citizens to him for counsel served as deliberate, practical delegations of authority. These signals reached their most public and critical phase during the prophet's final illness, as he lost the physical capacity to lead the community in person. From his sickbed, he issued a firm, repeated instruction: command Abu Bakr to lead the people in prayer. This was a non-negotiable directive. When alternative leaders were suggested, the prophet refused to change his mind, aggressively maintaining the command. The gravity of this task was significant. In the early Islamic ecosystem, leading the 5 daily prayers was the most visible and vital public responsibility. In a society where spiritual guidance and worldly governance were inextricably linked, placing a man at the front of the congregation served as a clear instruction for the future of the Ummah's leadership. Following the prophet's passing, the community faced the reality of a world without his direct presence. They now had to act on the signals he had left behind. The senior companions synthesized the cumulative evidence: the companionship in the cave, the open door, the direct counsel, and finally, the prayer mat. Their logical conclusion was straightforward. If the prophet trusted Abu Bakr with their religion and their souls, he implicitly trusted him with their worldly affairs. This realization led the overwhelming majority of the community to rapidly unite and pledge formal allegiance to Abu Bakr. This established a standard for leadership in the early Ummah. Authority was not seized through political maneuvering, but was recognized through a lifetime of validated trustworthiness. The absence of a written will was not a failure to plan. It was a final test of the community's judgment, one they passed by following the prophet's blueprint for succession.